Hello everyone, and welcome to the special edition Dia video session. For the last year and a half as a team, we've been heads down, researching, conceptualizing, and building out the next generation of Dia oracles. And today, we are extremely proud and excited to unveil Lumina, Dia's newly launched oracle stack built from the ground up with decentralization, trustless execution, and utility for the native Dia token at its core. In this session, we'll take you on a deep dive through Lumina, exploring why it was built, its unique technical architecture, how it advances Dia's founding mission, and of course, the upcoming roadmap to mainnet to expect ahead. And so I'm Dylan Hanson, Head of Business Development here at Dia. Joined with me today are Paul Claudius, co-founder at Dia, and Zygis Marazas, Head of Product at Dia. Paul, Zygis, welcome.
Thanks, Dylan. Great to be here. Really looking forward to the session.
Yeah, super excited finally with the time has come.
Excellent. Yeah, so without further ado, let's dive right in. I think it's great to set the stage with a little bit of context on the background of Dia, right? Giving everybody listening a bit of information about the founding vision that you, Paul, and the other co-founders came together and set to achieve when first thinking about the problems existed in the Oracle space and how these could be solved. So I'd love to hear from you, what was the founding vision upon which Dia was created? And what is it that you and the other co-founders set out to achieve?
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Absolute pleasure. Let me give you guys all some context on Dia's history. It was 2018 that we founded Dia, so that's crazy, 6 years ago. And back then, top 10 crypto assets were very different than today. I think that was stuff like Litecoin, IOTA, and a few others. So only the majors, Bitcoin, ETH, Ripple maybe still remain. So really a completely different ecosystem. Nonetheless, I guess some similarities back then as today still remain. So we saw in 2018 an ever-increasing fragmentation on a different stack, but still, and really growth driven by different new ecosystems and use cases. And back then, we felt pretty strongly that, and this is still today the case, that Oracle architecture in the market was not really built to address this fragmentation and the growth of these ecosystems. So we were really dissatisfied, honestly, like looking at this from a builder's perspective, and we subconsciously, I guess, back then really embarked on this marathon to build the best Oracle in the market, which really empowers builders so you can envision and execute without the shortcomings the legacy Oracle architecture brought with it. Really cool use cases, whether it's being large consumer facing products or also obviously DeFi applications. So no matter if you want to bring the Web 2 stack to Web 3 or change the primitives for finance, oracles back then as of today, they were short on certain features, and this was really kind of the founding story which led us to build Dia. And just the last comment here, I guess. So I guess what was special, and this is how we also differentiate a bit when you look at also on our history and how we ship products. We didn't look at basically what is possible with the current stack, but where do we want to be? And then we basically were always looking for the best technology and the stack in order to build such a product. So always pushing for cutting edge technology and trying to fulfill the requirements and not being limited with today's tooling, but still focused on the vision, what you want to build. And this brings us to Dia Lumina today.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely a perfect transition into Lumina. As you mentioned, this cutting edge stack that's focused not on just the historical needs in the Web3 industry, but the future needs. And so I'd love to hear again from you, Paul, and sort of how you envision this, right? So how is Lumina contributing to this vision for Dia to be future-proof, to continue to support innovative applications across all of the ecosystems that we have in today's industry. And sort of furthermore, what are the current or existent limitations in oracles that Lumina sets out to solve and achieve?
Yeah, maybe let me briefly just get back to the history and this founding mission and vision we had back then. That was really like some core elements, one of them being transparency. So it was, and it still is, super important to us that we can tell a builder and an end user where does actually data come from and how is like a price feed being made up. This sounds like maybe like a small detail, trivial, but when you look at traditional financial markets, it's like often by regulation a requirement. So something which is completely not met by most solutions in the market. Another one is coverage. Like you can't build exciting new use cases if you're limited to just a very small set of data sets. So we thought, okay, how do we need to create architecture to cover many more assets and different data sets, still adhering to a high quality? And the last one is really accessibility. So I was speaking about this fragmentation and growth of ecosystems. We don't want to just cater to I don't know, even mainnet, but every other ecosystem. And nowadays, obviously, all the different rollups and L2s relying on Ethereum. So transparency, coverage, accessibility, really three very important key differentiators for us. And so with Lumina, now we're really able to unite these unique properties and build this on a fully decentralized stack. So there's not the trade-off between one or the other anymore. So governance, the building blocks, tokenomics, everything's coming together with doing a Dia Lumina. So I think this is really a unique product in bringing a completely decentralized architecture together with a high customizability, which then leads, again, coming back to the coverage, really leads builders in being able to create any use case, knowing that the feeds will run on this trustless architecture and ensure at the same time the uptime, the integrity of the data, and this all by a set of independent actors, which are bound through token economic incentives and also cryptographic proofs. So yeah, this makes me super excited. And it doesn't stop here, but I'll stop after that. But like something I really want to mention is the modularity. Because, okay, I mean, this kind of sounds like a buzzword, but the modularity, I mean, it's not just for us super helpful to rely on really the latest breakthroughs from various projects we're working together and implementing this within our stack, but it makes also our solution extremely future-proof. So while we are really now bringing together different components of cutting-edge technology, this won't be the cutting-edge technology in 24 months. And the modularity really enables us to always critically ask, is this the best possible solution out there? This all together is, what makes me super excited about Lumina. And
Absolutely agreed. And, there's a ton of exciting terms and, like you said, hot topics in the space that you've already referenced, right? But I think now is a perfect time to take it one step and dive deeper into how these different technologies have actually been implemented into Lumina and bring, of course, Zygis, who's been instrumental in the architecture and delivery of building out the entire Lumina next generation of where the Dia product will head. So Zygis, I'd love to now kind of bring you in and get into a bit of a technical deep dive into how all of these different architectural components are related, right? Paul mentioned, of course, future-proofed modularity at the core of the stack. I'd love to hear from you what different components in respect to this modular architecture are being utilized and implemented in Lumina. And maybe you can just give us a high-level overview of how you envisioned, Lumina coming together, right? How this whole thing was birthed and some of the opportunities that you saw currently in the Oracle space to, ship the next generation of oracles.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, let me get a bit into the thought process behind the architectural details. So we've been testing different distributed technologies over the last several years, and basically, like, there was always some piece that didn't click. So either it was like not scalable enough, or the tech was too early and required like lots of exotic development, or even we were sometimes uncertain if the tech we'd like to use today will be around in a year. As you know, like in crypto, everything changes like really drastically and quickly. So it's really hard to predict. But with some technologies, you can see that where it's heading, and basically try to utilize them as early as possible. So yeah, this is what we try to do. Actually, like it's really funny. I'm not sure, Paul, if you remember, like we had multiple discussions previously where like we were always discussing like how to improve our architecture, how to make it even more open, and we were always like ending up with, we need to launch our own layer one. And like at the time, it was like so hard to actually launch this layer one. And well, right now, like you can see how easy it is to like just click and deploy a layer two, which is being run on some on a network, and then basically submitting proofs to Ethereum. So I think this new paradigm shift opened up a lot of new opportunities, and this is why eventually we chose to actually scale through this way. So yeah, as you can see in the screen, at its core, it's the Dia LaserNet, which is like layer two on its own. Especially with the recent developments in the data availability solutions that we see upcoming, like the space is still very early. Like it's been around a year when data availability became a thing, and it's advancing pretty quickly. So we are able to scale to the horizons which weren't possible before. This is why we chose to go this path, and I think eventually this is what represents how we are thinking about these technologies. Like we don't want to build everything internally. We want to work with different partners. We want to build in public and combine the best technologies in the space, which would actually allow us to solve the famous and legendary Oracle problem in the Web3 space. So yeah, this is what we envisioned. We have a lot of components around the layer 2 network that we are launching. So yeah, not sure, Dylan, like should we go deeper into them, or do you think let's leave it for the next time?
So one thing that you mentioned that I definitely want to pick on is you mentioned the ease of deployment these days, right? Like even a year ago, it was significantly more difficult to build your own layer 1 or layer 2, and we're seeing all around the industry, solutions that are really expediting this process. And one of the beauties that stands out to me about this product is, aside from the architecture, is also how we will be able to deliver permissionlessly and scale at the extent needed to actually meet the demand of all of these new layer 1 and layer 2 networks. So I just wanted to kind of tackle that a little bit, and maybe you can share a little bit more about specifically this scaling process itself, right? How do you envision Dia ultimately becoming or switching fully permissionless to be able to scale and support the needs of any network, in any area of the crypto sphere?
Yeah, sure. So as Paul mentioned already, like we wanted to build it like really modular, and this is why we have like this layer 2 kind of as the centerpiece basically of our entire architecture. But then we have a lot of different components surrounding that, which are going to actually help to distribute the work and make it like as trustless as possible. So the first thing is like we will have the data feeders, which will be secured crypto-economically. We also have some tests running with cryptographic security models like ZK coprocessors. I think this field is growing really nicely, and as soon as there's more load available on the ZK VMs, then we can shift more and more focus into that. So yeah, we've been actively working with that, but right now, crypto economic security seems as the go-to solution for processing large amounts of data. So we have like these crypto economic coprocessors running who are submitting data into our layer 2. And together with data availability solutions, we are able to really reach enormous amounts of data being submitted to our layer 2 in a cost-efficient way. And as you know, on the layer 2 itself, like all the data is traceable and anyone can view transactions. It's completely public. Anyone can come to your block explorer, view it, like to see which data feeder reported which price, and you can track the uptime, you can track the accuracy, and you can create like different models around that. So how the operations will work in a layer 2 in the Dia LaserNet is that we are going to have smart contracts which are aggregating data from different data feeders and then making the one general current market price of an asset. By this, I think what we achieve is that anyone can completely trustlessly deploy their own contract if they are not happy with the contracts that we suggest using. We really don't mind. We invite everyone to participate in the network to unleash your creativity, and you can create a lot of like very interesting methodologies and overall architectures for your price feeds and overall data, not just price feeds. I think other data types are also growing nicely. So at the end, like we will have the final price produced, and then we are utilizing the so-called Spectra bridge. So it's a messaging protocol which we are also developing with a partner, which will enable us to deliver data to basically any blockchain that's existing right now in the market. So right now, even at the current stage, Dia is already serving 52 blockchains, and this has been our like core proposition that basically our reach is unlimited. So this is what we want to keep going and running, and this is why we chose the bridge, which will actually allow us to scale really easily. I think one thing worth mentioning is that if you really want, you can build like other bridge integrations as well on top of the LaserNet. So we really want to achieve diversity in the data feeders and how they operate, and in the bridging networks in which that you would have an open choice of which bridging network to choose. So having this in mind, this is how the Dia Lumina will look from a high level perspective, and I think it really opens up some really interesting use cases into the future.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that, Zygis. I think that, as you referenced, it's really important and core to the initial vision that Paul referenced of Dia to maintain this transparency throughout the entire value stack, right? As it relates to data sourcing, data storage, processing, and distribution across any network that we're supporting or that Dia is supporting. One of the things I just want to come back to and clarify really quickly, and just in terms of terms that we've been using throughout the discussion so far, is of course this entire stack which we're referring to is Lumina. This is the next generation of Dia oracles. Within this, it's composed of different, as we've discussed, innovative and modular technologies that we've implemented into each part of the stack to support in its respective use case. So within the scope of Lumina, it's composed of a layer 2 rollup that Zygis mentioned called LaserNet. And then within the LaserNet data distribution, data basically flow process where we're sourcing, collecting, processing, and distributing data, we have Spectra, which is the cross-chain messaging protocol that we're implementing to support other various networks. We have these feeders. If we can actually go back to this this graph, let me pull this graph up very quickly. We can go back to feeders, which are basically the nodes which are attestating, or rather collecting and verifying the data that's being collected, and reaching consensus among them. Unable to add this back up, but I think just to generally give this high level perspective again, therefore on the terms, exactly. So the feeders are the nodes that are fetching the price and publishing it to the LaserNet. Pods here are the smart contracts that are storing the recent price data that's collected by feeders. We have therefore an aggregator, all of this on-chain, transparent, and open source, which is then medianizing, or rather taking the median of the last prices that have been delivered within the pods. Spectra, of course, as we mentioned, is this interop layer where we will use message passing protocol technology to distribute this across limitless networks that we're seeing come on chain in recent months. And looking forward, this is a strong hypothesis of ours that we're seeing thousands of rollups possibly coming online in the coming years, if not even sooner. So we really did build LaserNet with the future of where we see the industry evolving at its core, right? In supporting all of these different dApps across all of these different networks. And of course, at the core utility of this product are the users, right? Are those who are ingesting these customizable data feeds. And just to clarify one last thing, we are of course maintaining the unique sourcing architecture that's always been distinct to Dia, which is generating or rather fetching data from first-party sources, right? Therefore, these are primarily decentralized and centralized exchanges, whereby we're actually sourcing trade data on the individual trade level from these first-party sources rather than using third-party sources. This is what's overall contributing to the not just the accuracy and the high frequency and production of the oracles, but also, of course, to the transparency of them. And so just wanted to go through this process, get everybody on the same terms. And over the coming weeks and days, there will be a lot more information published, landing pages, studies that you could go to, documentation. And so this is just a high level overview of everything. That said, I want to bring it back to Paul, who, Zygis, you mentioned how Dia's been around since 2018, right? We have an ecosystem of over 52 networks supported, over 150 dApps across these ecosystems. And so I'm sure that, our current community, prospective partners of ours are all curious what the partnership ecosystem will entail and how this will evolve moving forward in, the light of Lumina. So Paul, could you share with us a little bit of details on what to expect looking forward in terms of partnerships, infra providers, just the general Lumina ecosystem in the coming weeks and in the future?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've been pointing out this great ecosystem, and it really has been quite an honor and a lot of fun, to be honest, to work with all these great projects and ecosystems. So, I mean, this is like the perfect foundation to build up on. But Lumina is, with its architecture, I'm extremely excited that this new and even stronger foundation will help us to grow even faster in this broad partner ecosystem. And there are just a couple of reasons why I'm so bullish on the architecture and its impact on our partner ecosystem. First of all, again, and that's repetitive, but I really want to point this out, it's the accessibility, right? So with our bridging framework, it makes it just extremely easy to integrate seamlessly into any EVM network, but also it provides the foundation to integrate Dia in non-EVM chains. So just the ease of integration makes a ton of difference, and we've seen this in the past. We've always been able to integrate fast, and this will put this at even fast and high level. The other one is really looking at this from a builder's perspective, applications, right? On these chains, you can access the oracles, and in the end, it's an UX and builder's experience which will make a difference. And based on Lumina and the framework, we'll be able to provide an even better UX and the ability for builders to directly like define, deploy, manage price feeds, go back and forth via Telegram. If you know what you want, you can just deploy and manage your feeds. So this combination, access the feeds anywhere possibly, and then define and manage them yourself as a builder, really will have a tremendous impact on our partnership ecosystem and its growth. But also, I think there's another aspect which is a super relevant stakeholder within the broader ecosystem, and this is again coming back to the modularity of this architecture, right? So obviously there's been a lot of proprietary work going into Dia Lumina, but it also consists of components from really like the cutting edge teams in the space, all being put together to make up Lumina. And this working together, and building new tooling, understanding limitations, and pushing the space further, and creating really this positive spinning flywheel effect with these partners, is also very much contributing to the ecosystem, right? We're integrating certain components from a partner. This creates more access to another layer. So this is extremely exciting, and this modularity will push this positive flywheel effect even further with collaboration in the space. But last but not least, let me just add this here. We already have a large stakeholder base, different types of contributors, builders using the oracles, the ecosystems integrating them, and now we're further adding new roles to what makes up Dia, right? So the individuals which will run the infra, pull in data, people who are going to stake and provide crypto economic security, many more, right? Everybody's working to ensure that this is really like the best solution out there, hand in hand. And so this is why, I'm super excited to see this already pretty vibrant ecosystem growing in depth, but also vertically. So
Yeah, and what I think is a core underlying theme here that we are kind of suggesting but haven't directly addressed is the fact that I really feel that infrastructure providers should have a proven sense of sustainability in the fact that you can rely on them, that they will be accessible and be around for, indefinite time to come. And so this is a question I get a lot of the time when we're chatting with partners is, what are your plans for 5-10 years out? How can we ensure that we can rely on this to still be existent by then? And so I think that this open source accessibility that, Paul, as you just referenced, anybody can come and request a feed permissionlessly and have that deployed on a network permissionlessly. This is all open source software where you can even if a network is not yet supported by the Spectra message passing layer, this can actually be implemented by the non-core Dia team. This can be built out across other ecosystems by users. And we're really transitioning Dia, as we mentioned, into becoming this sort of permissionless, self-sustaining protocol that users and partners can guarantee will be around indefinitely. And so one of the core components that we haven't got into yet, but I think is arguably one of the most exciting aspects of this all, is the implementation and the utility assigned to the Dia token within this entire architectural model. Either Paul or Zygis, would love to open it up to either of you guys on if you'd like to touch on this. Can you share with us, of course, without question, the most critical aspect of oracles and providing price feeds across chains is security and the robustness of the price feeds and the data feeds themselves. And of course, within the Lumina architecture, the Dia token itself has been implemented as an economic incentive to validate and improve the validation of data that's being pushed, right? To improve the data verification process. Can either of you guys talk on this a little bit and share more about the role that the native Dia token will play within Lumina?
Yeah, I'd love to. Can I take this one, Zygis? Do you mind?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Because tokenomics, I think, like in the past years, with seeing examples of how tokenomics can work in a sustainable way, or they can't, and they just don't provide the incentives you want to create over longer time to make an ecosystem work indefinitely. And so this has been quite a lot of work, and you always need to realign this with your architecture and the roles within the ecosystem. And the whole team, I was super excited that we found this pretty elegant solution, which really creates this perfect equilibrium, because at one side, you want to create the best product. So you're looking at a cost-benefit ratio, like how can you decrease costs for an amazing product and drive adoption through this. At the same time, you want to create sustainable and really attractive rewards for the contributors, which make up this ecosystem and grow it over time and make it more resilient and ensure that, I guess, Dylan, as you said, right, this level of decentralization ensures that the service will be up and running, no matter if just somebody decides to shut down its server. So how can you bring this in a good balance? And I'm super glad that we found here a very, very good solution in the new architecture. And just to summarize this in short, thanks, that's super helpful. So users will pay for using the Oracle feeds, right? Customized to the requirements and also the security needs. And these rewards from the users, they're then used to incentivize all the operators to fulfill the different parts of the Lumina architecture and penalize at the same time, right, misbehavior. So with a staking component to ensure through crypto economic security and use the capital provided by the stakers to the operators. And at the same time, the incentives provided to the ecosystem and the reduction in the token supply will remain at the hands of the DAO, right? So we founded this 2018 as a DAO. I think this is an organizational, extremely relevant framework, and also ensures that token incentives and economic incentives, no matter how the architecture will change over the years, can be well aligned in the interests of all stakeholders. So I'm super happy, and this diagram, this picture shows it's simple, pretty elegant, sustainable, and provides great incentives for its participants.
Yeah, just maybe quickly to add to this, Paul. So what you're telling completely, we've been focusing on that for the last also a couple of years. Like, we didn't want to do any stupid operations and some fake volumes or whatever to the token. We really see that as an integral part of the entire ecosystem, and that it would really play a role of being the economic fuel behind the entire network. So we wanted to actually drive incentives for participants to participate in the network, and that it would be used as a backbone of the entire Dia Oracle ecosystem. So while at the same time the end user, for example, wouldn't necessarily have to touch the Dia token, but it would be still running all the time in the background, and all the economic operations would be tracked by the token. So I think this is very hard to achieve in the crypto space, but what we managed to do is to actually find a way on how we can actually make it pretty simple, but at the same time, all the operations are, of course, complex from technical perspective. But eventually, it just makes sense to make this crypto economic flywheel, because this is what the crypto promised since day one, right?
Yeah, I think fair to say no shortcuts were taken, and I think at the same time, I think shout out to the community, which was very supportive in finding the right utility here for the token, and build something which can last indefinitely, and is not just a seasonal thing.
Point system.
Absolutely. So I think this has been a very solid and comprehensive overview, right? We've covered everything from the founding vision to now Lumina. Lumina's ecosystem comprised of LaserNet, Spectra Bridge, feeders, right? This entire transparency of the data validation process and how this will be scalable and permissionlessly accessible across any network on any chain. We dove into how now, therefore, as just discussed, the Dia token will be integral and play a huge role within this entire model for positively incentivizing data verification and producing the accurate and correct data on chain. I think now it's a great time to transition and take a look into the future, right? And put into concrete terms, what's to come and what can we expect? I guess actually both concrete and non-concrete terms, because this is modular, right? We're building to be future-proof. And so I'd love to pick both of your brains, how you see, let's start actually on the latter, right? In terms of non-concrete future, how do you see the industry evolving over the coming years? And what are the opportunities within the scope of Lumina's modular architecture that you think are, present and good opportunities to adapt, right? To improve any areas where you could see future evolution. Of course, I'll take a step back here and say we've been heads down pushing this one out already for some time. This is our proud unveil. So sorry to get too ahead of ourselves, but curious if you guys have any thoughts on this or any hopes and vision as to how this could continue to evolve.
Okay, if I may, I'll take this first. So, I think what we discussed already. So the goal of Dia Lumina is basically to become a completely permissionless network driven completely by Dia as a token and owned by the community. So this has been the core ethos of building the Dia Lumina. But I think what we have to take into consideration that we do this just to deliver the best-in-class Oracle infrastructure for any chain, the most trusted one that basically you wouldn't need to have like a lot of trust assumptions of whom you're working with, but you could actually verify by code. So this is what we are seeking right now. And there are a lot of complexities actually to make this a reality. And this is why for the next, I think, few years at least, we'll be really focusing on making these like really small, I guess, but at the same time, big steps in making these changes. So with small, I mean that we are trying to deliver really quickly, but at the same time, as the sensitivity of the system is kind of increasing, so we have to take into consideration all the security aspects. We'll be testing a lot, but testing only in testnets and like delivering only the tested parts to the prod. But we want to actually be also careful about what we are using right now, because you can see already in the market that there's a lot of discourse about layer 2s, about sequencers, about interoperability, tokenomics, cryptographic security schemes, overall decentralization. So there are so many new topics popping up basically every day, and like solutions are being built, but I guess like it will definitely take time until these solutions are built. And as we mentioned already before, that we want to work with other partners, and we are looking for partners who are really advanced in the stage, in the stage where these solutions become like market ready. And this is why we kind of see ourselves as an early adopters of the technology, but at the same time, we are going to wait until the moment it's available for production use. And as repeated already several times, like the modularity with which we built this system will actually allow us to integrate new components and parts as soon as they appear. So I think there is like a lot of research right now happening in all the before mentioned topics, which we are going to follow closely, and we are going to improve exponentially during coming years to actually help other dApps to build the future of the finance. Because we want to, at the moment we see that, for example, right now integrating an Oracle might be a pain for some protocols, like we have to take into consideration so many things. So what we want to make sure is that integrating the Oracle would be the easiest part of building your protocol, and this is why we are building actually for the dApps. So, and this is what we see working on for the next several years, I think. So yeah, Paul, maybe you have something there.
Yeah, not much to add. I think you summarized extremely well. I think what will always remain at the core of the solution is the already what I shared, like the transparency aspect. I think this is like an underlying relevant foundation which sets us apart from our peers. It remains the coverage, and the architecture really enables to cover like a really broad potential set of data. So we'll be able to serve whatever people envision they want to build. And then the accessibility, right? What you also mentioned, Zygis, where can I ingest these data feeds? And this must be as easy as possible. And then with the modular architecture, going full circle to what you shared here, will be always at the forefront and of what can be done in the space. And our journey to Lumina, we've been playing around with a bunch of super exciting tech, but then we found like this or that reason not to integrate it. And this will remain the case. We can be implementing really the most novel primitives. Will we push them to mainnet? Will people use it? We'll be able to play around and work with the most cutting actually developers in the space and be always at the forefront. So I think this new foundation makes it even easier for us to test new primitives and new different components, while having an extremely solid foundation where people can rely on. So I think it's best of both worlds.
Absolutely. One thing I would also add to that is just looking at how the Oracle, I guess the industry has evolved to kind of get away from the idea that Oracle should be trusted third-party data providers, right? We really built Lumina around the idea of implementing a fully trustless architecture, one in which it has cryptoeconomic proofs of the data collection and distribution process. And just wanted to add this as well, that I'm personally excited over the coming years to get away and kind of like set the standard in terms of advancing the Oracle space from being trusted third parties to becoming trustless third parties, kind of making this the new standard and setting the frontier with respect to this.
Absolutely. Maybe just point here. Really, it's laser net, right? It's a network, and we're seeing this. And what Zygis, you already said, right? We're providing one messaging solution, right? But everybody could potentially deploy a different solution, and it might be a better solution than the one we anticipated. So I think it's also super exciting looking down the road how contribution will be really enabled here, and the best solutions can really compete against each other on our stack.
Excellent. So that said, I want to kind of dive in if there's any concrete next steps here. I'm sure the community is as always very eager to hear the next steps, and also for anybody who's not a part of the community yet, not a builder that's using Dia yet, but interested in doing so. How can one take next steps to, let's say, join the Lumina community, right? To get onboarded, whether as a user, whether as a community member, or just somebody who wants to learn more. Maybe Zygis, I'll kick it off with you. Any concrete next steps in terms of what we can expect, and then let's hand it over to Paul in terms of how people can get involved.
Sure. So first of all, what's upcoming is for sure testnet launch. It's upcoming already pretty soon. Next quarter we'll have it live for everyone to play around. It will already have all the core components integrated, so you can actually see the entire Oracle flow, you can track the transactions, you can see how the data flows. So basically we will release this for people to actually play around with it. We'll have some exciting also community events where people can interact with it, and we see this as a very important step to actually test it properly and to make the community familiar of how it works and how to track all the data within the system. So this is the first step. Of course, following the testnet launch, we'll be proceeding to the auditing process. As mentioned, we value security a lot. We know that we are dealing with oracles. Oracle price feeds are securing billions of dollars in crypto value on chain. So this has to be done carefully. This is why we are aiming to work with top tier auditing firms to actually before releasing it to mainnet. And yeah, starting next year, we'll be releasing the mainnet. We'll be releasing it probably as a first step as a beta launch with the core components already in place, but we'll be focusing more on actually incentivizing like network participants to participate in, let's say, data feeding and running different validators for the network. So this will be kind of the second step, and afterwards, I think we'll proceed launching like full mainnet with completely open network where anyone can select different components based on their need, based on their preference, and what they see as the most secure or maybe preferable option based on the ecosystem and other filters. So this is how we see it being launched, basically. So I think it's best that you follow the news, and soon you'll be able to actually interact with the Dia Lumina system. And Paul, I'll give the word to you about.
Actually, I always get like super exciting when you're like sharing the roadmap here, and I think that's like one, I guess, of the core values from Dia from day one. We found this as a DAO, and that's not just like 3 letters for us, but it really means a ton of people contributing in one way or the other. And this is now with the new architecture actually even broadening, like to more roles one can actually take in order to contribute. And so I think this is a super exciting roadmap ahead. And wherever your knowledge, your skills lie, please join our community. Best thing to do is checking the links here, I guess, leading you to our Discord and to other sources, documentation and whatnot. And join the community. Find the spot where you want to contribute. This can be like on the technical side, like suggesting new integrations. Running infrastructure, contributing on the community BD side. So there are tons of opportunities, and we'd be super excited to have you join us on this super exciting journey ahead.
Excellent. Thank you guys for those details. I agree. It's super exciting. We've been building this product Lumina for over a year and a half, just in terms of, as Zygis mentioned, testing out all the different technologies. A lot of them were promising, but there's been so much iteration on the product to capture all of these, forward-looking opportunities that we've been discussing today. And so this is our video, reveal that we're super excited to share with the community. But that said, I just want to say that there's so much coming, right? There's documentation to be published. There's landing pages. We'll be doing a lot more content that shows all into the deep dives. This is the high level that we really wanted to share, coming right from the team here. So I want to say thanks, Paul and Zygis. This is such an exciting start to, I don't want to say a new journey, but the next journey, right? The next stage, the next generation of Dia oracles, and tackling so many of the present issues that are limitations of the current kind of oracle and infrastructure ecosystem at large. Again, just kind of getting back to this, issues that relate to, of course, lack of transparency regarding data, lack of transparency generally throughout the entire value stack, right? This relates to the ability to source from any source, take data from any source and distribute onto any network. The ability to implement ZK proofs for becoming a trustless data provider. There's so many core overarching themes here that we've gone through today. And so that's just why I wanted to reiterate that there's a lot more information to come that will be digestible. As Paul referenced, as a community member, as somebody who wants to learn, there's tons of more resources that we will be publishing, if not already live today, then in the coming days. And so just wanted to say super excited for what's to come. Paul, Zygis, thank you guys. Any closing thoughts that you wanted to add here before we wrap it up?
Yeah, thanks everyone really for listening in. Thanks everyone, like the broader community, to bring Dia where it is today. And yeah, everybody listening, like, do share your comments, your thoughts directly here or in Discord or whatever is handy to you. So thanks so much for all the support. We're like extremely excited on the next steps.
Yeah, completely the same. Thank you a lot for being throughout this entire journey. And yeah, we have exciting things to come. We want to build it together. So yeah, feel free to join the community. Let's build it together. And yeah, let's see where the future will bring us.
Excellent. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up. And cheers again, everybody, for listening in. I hope everybody's as excited about the future of Dia and Lumina as we are. And we'll see you all soon. Cheers.
Bye.